several roads in Johannesburg are closed this morning following acts of violence and looting in parts of the city over the past couple of hours. In fact, Joburg Metro Police say they've deployed more officers to parts of the city in an effort to try have the situation under control. Our Ahmed Kajee is in JP's town for us. And Ahmed, fresh flames flaming out just a couple of moments ago. Tell us what you're seeing.
Yes, Ayana, good morning. It's been a very rough morning over here in JP's town, especially on Jewel Street. We normally do know this is an area where unrest normally does take place whenever there is any protest action which takes place in and around Johannesburg. Now, I'm going to just take a step to my left. As you hear, there is quite a lot of noise over here on Jewel Street. If you look over to my right-hand side, we would have seen that vehicle being torched. And just to give you some context, this is exactly where we had initially been about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Our car was parked over there. We actually went through to negotiate with a few of the protesters to find out exactly if we could get our vehicle out of that particular situation. We do know that unrest has been taking place overnight. Most of the people within this area, some of the foreign nationals who we had spoken to, mentioned that unrest started at about 11 p.m. last night and took place throughout the day so far this morning. So it's been at least 12 hours of unrest in the area. The vehicle in front of you that is being torched more or less was set alight about 10 minutes ago. Beyond that, if you look down about 300 or 400 meters down the road, there's another group of people protesting. For many of the vehicles who have been driving up and down this road, what we have been seeing is the group on the left of your screen are more or less throwing stones over towards our side as well. As you can see, people are exceptionally upset on that front as well. There seems to be a lot of unrest. Many of the people who we have spoken to, like we have seen over on the KZN highways as well, it has been a situation of former President Cyril Ramaphosa calls for President Cyril Ramaphosa to be released from prison. Yes, there is a lady who would like to perhaps provide us with some of her sentiments. Ma'am, what would you like to say?
Our things are getting lost. Our things are getting lost. No. For this, yes, we must ban alcohol because we want alcohol, not the car.
As you can see, things are getting relatively tense over here by a number of crowds as well. We normally do see that groupthink normally kicks off in a situation like this. So at times it may be perhaps one element of the protest being towards President Cyril Ramaphosa, but these normally extend into a number of other factors, such as overall looting. It seems to be the destruction of property as well. So perhaps it may start off as one particular piece of unrest, just speaking towards the release or the calls for the release of former President Jacob Zuma from prison. But this obviously has a number of other knock-on factors that many people bring their grievances to. This is obviously speaking towards topics such as foreign-owned shops, foreign-owned nationals being in the area and considering trade. Many locals do believe that this happens to be sometimes a case of foreign nationals taking their jobs and taking their customers. So in a situation like this, things do get relatively tense, and a number of other thoughts and a number of other factors also we get brought into the equation over there. As you can see, like we had seen from the lady just a couple minutes ago, that the community is very upset, and it may not just be for former President Jacob Zuma to be released from prison, but it also seems to be a situation of people being upset at the lockdown regulations as well. Ayanda.
I'm hyper aware of your safety there, Ahmed. I'll get my cue from you about whether or not you can continue speaking to us. As you evaluate that yourself, get us a sense of the law enforcement there that's present, if any.
Yes, Ayanda. So earlier on, we had seen law enforcement coming onto the area. There was the firing of rubber bullets, and we had seen law enforcement armored vehicles taking place and more or less doing their patrols in the area. About 20 minutes or so just before that vehicle was torched, law enforcement had made their way out of the area. So rubber bullets had stopped being shot at protesters on that front, and I think that's where the situation over here started to escalate, with stones being thrown at foreign nationals and foreign nationals to protesters as well. So the unrest picked up and escalated significantly as soon as law enforcement had left the area about 20 minutes ago. And we know it's still unclear what the reason was for them leaving. Perhaps it was due to unrest, perhaps increasing and escalating in other areas. We do know that across the city of Johannesburg, there has been unrest. There is the area around Denver, around Cleveland, around the George Koch area. There has been the situations and unrest around there. So it's still unclear as to why the law enforcement has left. So in terms of that, currently as we speak, vehicles have just arrived in front of me, and that would be behind your screen as well, but that just seems to be your vehicles, your everyday patrol vehicles rather than your armored vehicles on that front. So law enforcement has just has more or less just returned to the area, but it seems that over the last 20 minutes, or at least the last 30 minutes that they haven't been in the area, the situation has escalated to the extent where we have seen a vehicle being torched as well, and it seems that the unrest may perhaps ease over the next 20 or 30 minutes or so with law enforcement returning to the area. But it seems for that vehicle over there, the damage has already been done. Ayanda.
Right, Ahmed Kajee, let's hold it there, at least for now. Allow you to get to a place of safety too. Ahmed Kajee's live just there from Town in Johannesburg. As you got a sense there from that report, this is unrest that's actually taking place in various parts of Johannesburg. Wayne Minnar says they have to consider deploying more boots on the ground. Take a listen.
What I can confirm is that the protest did take place last night on the M2 freeway. The M2 freeway is still closed as we speak at Denver, and then there was looting in the June Street and Town areas. There's still violent response in the Town area with even torching of vehicles, and the Alexandra area. So Town people must just be cautious not to go anywhere near Town. They can avoid that area, would be good. And also to avoid the Mike 2 in the Denver area, make use of the N3, the N1 or N12 as alternative routes for now. There will be youth deployment, and the law enforcement agencies, that's the SAPS, Gauteng Traffic Department Police, and also the JMPD will work together on deployment of huge numbers of staff.
Obvious links being made now towards the chaos in KZN and that in Johannesburg. Police in KwaZulu-Natal on high alert following violent protests in parts of that province over the past 2 days. Demonstrators blocking roads, burning tires, torching trucks in some instances, and causing mayhem both on Friday and yesterday. All of this while demanding the release of former President Jacob Zuma from jail. President Cyril Ramaphosa has called on residents to desist from undermining the rule of law and inflicting damage on the economy. Newzroom Afrika's Linda Mnisi has that report.
The aftermath of a protest that will see some truck owners and businesses lose millions, presenting an opportunity for desperate residents who live near the Moy River Toll Plaza.
200 men ngakathi njengoba sedemeshekile mhlambe lizobala ko 160 kanjalo ngoba sedengeshwe nomndeni.
The scavenging of remains of luxury vehicles which were being transported on a truck that was torched overnight. The carcasses of other torched vehicles littered the N3 for most of Saturday. A harsh reminder to this truck driver of how protests like this affect lives.
Ka 5 o'clock go fitlile bashimane ba banyane ba nyaopo ba fitla ba bea dithaere ko pele mo la ga toll gate thaere je two je nyana ga be se go fitla mapodisa ba stopa ditrucka ka mole ka mo ja be di floater di tlala ha di tlala bashimane ba thola opportunity ya gore ba chise ba tshitse dithaere je ba tshitse ditrucka je banka mo bankao di driver ne di tswa ka mo di balega ba nka di phone everything I drive, but the phone, the wallet, take out fair, drive, the
Police had made several arrests and have called additional officers in from their rest days.
We've already mobilized as many police officers that we have in the province, including some of our police officers that were on rest days and were not ordinarily working. And we've boosted our deployments along the major routes in the province and the key points in the province.
While speculation is rife that the protests could be linked to members of the Free Zuma campaign, police say they don't know yet what could be behind them. At the same time, President Cyril Ramaphosa has condemned the violent nature of protests. He also said the constitutional right to protest shouldn't be used to break the law, damage property and threaten lives. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Linda Mnisi at the Moy River Toll Plaza in KwaZulu-Natal.
Reaction for you now. The Durban Chamber of Commerce and Industry is calling on President Cyril Ramaphosa to intervene in KwaZulu-Natal's ongoing unrest.